I'm back, and we're going to have another guest on the radio here in a few minutes. We're going to be talking some NBA playoffs, Eastern Conference Finals getting ready to tip off here in just a few minutes. Indiana Pacers coming in as a minus 3-point favorite. Line opened up at 1.5 and has just been creeping up as it is. 71% of the total bets right now as I'm looking at coming in on the Indiana Pacers. 68% of the total money that is being bet on the Indiana Pacers. How will this game end up tonight? It's going to be a great topic of conversation because we saw what happened in the first game. The choke. The Pacers come back, win it in overtime after an amazing showing by Tyrese Halliburton tonight. Like I mentioned, his dad will be in attendance, but he's up in the suite. They're not going to let him down on the court because they don't want any problems there. But we got our guy Mikey D on the line joining us from Courtside Buzz. We're going to talk some NBA. Mikey, greatly appreciate you, my man. How you doing out there?
Doing great. I appreciate you having me on again. And, yeah, just another night of sweating out the Knicks. So we'll see how this one goes tonight.
Another night of sweating out the Knicks. It is going to be for sure. And sorry about the confusion earlier. Me and Mikey were going back since yesterday. Did not know that I was going to be in studio. He thought it was Ken. Ken thought it was him as well. But we got it all figured out, and we're here now. But you heard me talking about this line, Mikey. It opened up at minus 1.5 in a lot of places that I saw. Some places closed at 3.5. Naismith was obviously the big topic of conversation there. Was he going to play? Was he not after being hurt? Looks like he's going to give it a go. Obviously, their main defender when it comes to defending Jalen Brunson in these first 3 games. What are you expecting to see from him with the injury in this game tonight?
I think more of spot-up shooting rather than really running around, maybe chasing Brunson, maybe not as much this game because of that ankle. I could see him getting a different matchup for that reason. As I'm saying this, he just hit a 3 in the corner to make it 6-5 Pacers. But, yeah, I think Naismith, he looks pretty good. He is guarding Brunson, but maybe he won't get the brunt of it, like I said, because of that ankle.
Who are you want to see step up for the Knicks right now? Because obviously we saw Cat come up big in the last game, finally showing up and showing out for this New York Knicks team. But obviously, we know the conversation is always going to be around Jalen Brunson. One thing that I saw, and I saw this floating around on social media from the last game, that it looked like he's trying to get fouls when it comes to some of these shots, and he's trying to make this contact happen. I'm not necessarily on that bandwagon. I think it's just basketball, and that's just the way the game is played nowadays. You have to find a way to get to the line, whether it's from a shot or driving down the lane. A lot of these guys have forgotten what basketball was when you were a kid. At least when I was growing up, it was take your butt to the hole and get fouled. Get the free throws if you can. Don't always go for that shot. Who do you want to see step up for this New York Knicks team aside from the big two?
I have to say everybody else stepped up in that game outside of Brunson in Game 3. So, not to dumb down my answer by saying it's their, MVP caliber player, their all-star who has to step up, but it's true. It's Jalen Brunson. When the fourth quarter whistle blows, Brunson turns into an animal. No matter how bad he's playing, he's hitting clutch shots. He's dictating the offense. He's coming up big when they need him. But I want to see that in the first 3 quarters from Jalen Brunson like we did all season. He seems like he shies away from the basket a little bit and, like you said, dumbs his game down to look for fouls in the beginning when things are tightening up on him and he's really the focus. And come the fourth quarter when he's mentally locked in, he's Mr. Clutch Player of the Year, Jalen Brunson. So I want to see him take over a game like he did all season and in the first couple of series as well, because credit to Indiana, they're really disrupting him, and they turned him off in Game 3.
So we've seen what's going on in the Western Conference Finals, obviously, but would you agree with me on this statement that the Eastern Conference Finals has just been the best conference finals right now out of these two so far?
Oh, no doubt about it. And I got to say, Jose, no matter who comes out of the East, I'll make a tight statement right now and almost do a Charles Barkley guarantee and say the OKC Thunder are going to win the NBA Finals no matter what. I don't think New York has the bench or the interior defense to really contend with Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren, and I don't feel like Indiana has that as well. And, yeah, so this would be great if my Knicks come back in this series and make the Finals, but either team, whoever gets there, is going to have their hands full with that OKC team.
So the one player that I've been looking at that I wish we would see a little more from him, especially because he keeps getting the starting nod, is Mitchell Robinson. I mean, he has just respectfully has not shown up in this Eastern Conference Finals. What do you think about his game so far, and what does he have to do to basically adjust and step it up?
Yeah, I think highs and lows with Mitch. You could argue that for every block shot or great contest he makes, he's fumbling the ball for a turnover. He's, losing his defensive assignment. So I want to see a little bit more consistency with his mental of being focused and really playing to the game plan. Even on offense, Mitchell Robinson's first couple years in the NBA, he was an absolute lob threat. Now he's really not even getting any looks in a lob or any looks down low. Just pretty much if he's cleaning up the glass, he'll go back up with it for a dunk. And if not, they're fouling him, Hackam Mitchell, and getting him to the free throw line where he hasn't been all consistent, of course, in his whole career or the series. So I want to see a more offensive Mitchell Robinson. He's clumsy dribbling the ball, but attack down low in the paint.
Speaking with Mikey Domagala of Courtside Buzz, Indiana up 16-9 right now, three-pointer by Tyrese Halliburton. Pacers 3 of 4 to start the game from 3. 8:14 left in the first quarter. Timeout, New York. You can tell they're not happy right now going into that timeout. Now, when we're talking about Indiana, let's move over to the Indiana side of the ball. One thing that I've seen is that it's not about Tyrese. It's not about Pascal. It's kind of like an all-team effort here, meaning anyone can show up at any time and have that big game. We saw what Pascal had a few games ago, 30-plus points. But then we also know what Tyrese can and can't do. What are you seeing from this Pacers team overall in this series?
Oh, my God. Just like you said, field, right field, center field, first base, third base. They're hitting you from all angles. Doesn't matter who. Like you said, Aaron Nesmith is a great, fourth option on this team. He already has 6 right now. T.J. McConnell, 6th man, could come in and totally score 15 points and sliver through any defense and play make his way to 5 assists off the bench. And a guy I want to see step up for Indiana who hasn't been good all playoffs, Benedict Mathurin, great young up-and-coming player who really hasn't put his stamp on any game. All he's done all playoffs is kind of just, get into that shoving match. And where he shoved, I forget who it was who he shoved to the floor, but he got a technical and, found himself on the bench because of that action last series. So I want to see Mathurin step up, but what makes the Pacers so dangerous, they could all shoot, they could all, do everything to win a game, and they all play make at a high level.
One thing that I like to look at is obviously plus minuses when it comes to these players, what they do on the court, how they affect their team overall. Obi Toppin last game, even though Indiana got the loss, plus 19 in the plus minus column there. What have you seen from him so far in this series?
Just hustling for Indiana, like a bigger Josh Hart for Indiana when he's in the game. He's crashing the glass. He's attacking relentlessly with his bounce. He's putting up some crazy up and under layups, and he's getting out for the fast break dunks like he's done his whole career. So using his athletic ability, I mean, when he's running, Jose, he looks like a baby deer the way he glides. So sprinting past the defense and really kind of using his clumsy game to just get into the paint and make contact be drawn against him is what he's been doing. And, yeah, he's doing great. Like I said, he's like the 7th, 8th option on this team, and he comes in and he disrupts. So got to give credit to Obi for what he's doing against his former team.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing overall from both teams, if I'm being honest with you. It's grit, it's guts. I mean, these guys are going back and forth at each other. The first game was not a blowout. Second game was not a blowout. Third game was not a blowout. All of them have been close to the end. Both teams just finding it out. Now, one thing that was brought to my attention from a few buddies of mine, and I kind of disagreed with it, was that maybe the Knicks are finally getting to the point where all these minutes and all this time that they've played that Tibbs has had them throughout the regular season is finally catching up to them. I totally disagree with that. What are your sentiments on that?
I totally disagree with that, too. And to toot my own horn, there's Mitchell Robinson catching a lob from Jalen Brunson as I'm speaking, as I'm watching. But, I agree with you that I don't think that they're necessarily gassed come the end of the game or out of shape because they're in shape from playing all those minutes through the whole year. Like, they've got these iron bodies because of the way Tibbs treats them. But what I think it was with the substitutions that Tibbs made, a great decision to make those substitutions in Game 3, was just throwing new looks at this Pacers team. They know they could get Cat, in a pick and roll where he's playing drop. They know Brunson, isn't the greatest defender. But when you bring in DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, and they're giving 120% effort out of 100%, and they're disrupting defense. Landry Shamet's, tossing in some threes, and you get some steals from the other guys because of their pace and their energy. That's extremely important. And yeah, maybe the Knicks aren't tired. They're top six who play all the time. But just getting the fresh look is what got them that comeback in Game 3. What led to, Towns getting all those open looks based off turnovers and, splashing those deep threes.
Mikey D joining us once again here on SportsX Radio. Knicks right now down 16-11, 7:48 to go here in the first quarter. Now, before we get into the next game, the next Western Conference Finals, that is going to be tomorrow after just that bounce-back game that we saw from OKC, something came across the newswire earlier today when it comes to the NBA, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that real quick. LeBron James basically stating that he's opting in to come back and play for the Lakers another year. Is that good news or bad news for Laker Nation, in your opinion?
I would say that's decent news for the fact of what he's opting into. There were rumors that he'd take less money, so there was more, chances in free agency to pick up higher paid guys who, aren't going to take a pay cut. So what LeBron opted into, I forget the exact numbers, but he could have taken a $10 to $20 million pay cut, I saw. And the Lakers could have picked up, say, an A-level guy rather than a B-level guy. So I would say it's great to lock down LeBron for the next year or two. You see he's not going to retire with, $40 million a year, what's coming in. But, yeah, I expected LeBron to opt out and sign, a better value deal for the Lakers in the the extreme twilight of his career to try to win one more ring by bringing in that A-level guy based off money.
Well, I'm a Laker fan, so I'm going to be honest with you. Me, personally, I'm tired of LeBron. I love the guy as a basketball player. I think he's done great. I still don't have him as the greatest player of all time because there's just so many different things that lead up to that. I've gotten to the point, too, where I just don't like to give out a greatest player of all time because there's so many different eras, and all these eras are different. Different players, different style of play, different officiating. Just everything is completely different. So if he's coming back, I hope it's for the better. I'm glad that him and Luka will have a full off season together. I think that's going to be huge, obviously, because you bring in a guy during the season. He does not that acclimated with the team, but now he's going to have all that time with him. So there should not be any excuses. But sticking to the Western Conference here, we saw the Thunder bounce back in Game 4, 128-126 win last night. Got a little bit close there towards the end, but Jalen Williams was key in that game. Obviously, we know what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can bring and what he does. The MVP is the MVP for a reason. But Jalen Williams has just stepped up huge, and they got to have him continuing to be that sidekick with Shai. What do you think that Oklahoma City has to do in Game 5 to close this out at home?
Exactly what you just said. It all goes through their success is all about Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. If they're having a good game, that team is almost unstoppable. We know Shai's going to get his 25 to 35, somewhere in that range. We know Hartenstein is going to disrupt on the glass and down low. Caruso is going to do a job off the bench. But OKC has gotten this far with Jalen Williams not playing like his all-star self until last night. So if he's going to drop another 30 ball alongside Shai's 39, that team is unstoppable. And like you said, I couldn't believe Minnesota got that close at the end. They hit some big shots at the end, but yeah, Chet Holmgren was great defensively, blocked a few shots, had like 21 points that were huge, mostly coming in the second half. So it's all about J-Dub. If he's scoring 25 plus, OKC is impossible to beat.
So I know I keep harping on this guy, and I talked about him last week and previous times as well. Alex Caruso, 33 minutes, 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 5 from the three-point line, which is basically what you're expecting from him, right? But +8 on the plus minus, only 10 points. But overall, he gives this team what they need coming off the bench. You see the minutes there. He's playing the highest minutes overall out of anyone coming off of that bench. Aside from Alex, who do we need off this bench to do more for OKC? Obviously, Their starting five is unbelievable. We know what they can do, but you got to have a full team effort here. Aside from Caruso, who do you want to see step up in Game 5 for this Thunder team?
Yeah, I want to see some more Cason Wallace. Mark Daigneault, head coach Mark Daigneault, does keep a tighter leash, on his rotations. We're in the playoffs, you go 8-9 deep. But a guy who we really haven't seen, unless it's been a blowout, is Aaron Wiggins. And that's a guy who I'm surprised Daigneault hasn't gone to. He's a great shooter, could drive, he's like 6'7", could disrupt on defense. And Daigneault hasn't gone to him. I'm assuming because he doesn't want to go, 10, 11, 12 deep in the playoffs and really mess up the rotations because something has to give, somebody has to sit. But, yeah, I'm surprised. And that makes me think he might be gone this offseason because he could get paid elsewhere, pretty good money because when he's been on this season for OKC off the bench, he's had plenty of 20-point games, hitting, 5+ threes in a number of games. So that's a guy who I'm surprised. But I would say Cason Wallace I want to see a little bit more of. He was sniping in the regular season, tons of threes, kind of been a little quiet this series.
I'm glad you brought that up because this offseason is definitely going to be a big topic of conversation. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. And I don't think it's going to be necessarily star names. I think you're going to have a lot of role players, bench players like you're talking about here with Wiggins that possibly are going to be on the move, right? Because there's a lot of teams that are looking to solidify their roster and not just their starting five, but a lot of teams keep forgetting about bench players for some reason. And it's like you need a full team effort overall coming into this offseason. If there's any names aside from the big name stars that you're looking at, is there one that you're specifically looking at and wondering where he might end up this offseason?
Definitely somebody in Boston.
Oh.
They need to make a move guaranteed because of their payroll. I mean, they're spending hundreds of millions. They're going to be over the tax this summer. So one of three, I would say, of Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, or Sam Hauser, maybe even two of the three, I think will be on the move. I think the rest won't be moved. Derek White is too valuable. So is Jaylen Brown. And, of course, Tatum is, untouchable. But I think Porzingis might be that guy. Where he's going to go, I'm really not sure, but Boston has to make a move, or else they're going to be paying loads and loads of money, and that's going to be coming out of the pocket of the owner.
So I'm glad you brought up Kristaps, and the reason I'm going to bring this up to you, and you're probably going to say I'm crazy, and Nunchuck's already bobbing his head over here telling me no. What about him going to the Lakers? And the reason I say that, the Lakers need a bigger body, right? They need a big body in there, and that kind of showed this season, especially in the playoffs, the inability to have a big body in there. They did not use Jackson Hayes the way that they should have. I'm kind of surprised that they went away from him. But can you see him as a good fit with the LA Lakers?
I don't love it or hate it. Kristaps, he doesn't play a ton of minutes as much as he used to because of his, injury-prone, stature. He has been injury-prone. He's sick these last couple weeks, which is, still a mystery. But Porzingis isn't the true traditional big that I feel like the Lakers need. He steps out from three. He hovers out there. Yes, he catches lobs. Yes, he's down low. But is he that guy? No, I think somebody in the Mark Williams realm is somebody that they need. Not necessarily Mark Williams himself, but somebody in that vein.
So before we let you go, I need to get your thoughts on Anthony Edwards here. Obviously, his statements and his comments coming out last game. He's just been scrutinized and murdered over what he said. It's been all over the airwaves, on TV, on social media. The fact that he said that, quote, I'm not going to quote him here because I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but in his eyes, he didn't play a bad game. He made the right decisions. He made the right plays. If you look at the stat sheet, it doesn't look like you did the right plays. If you're supposed to be this superstar and you're supposed to be that next guy that everyone's talking about, you have to find a way to put this team on your back. Not necessarily be the end-all, be-all, but do a lot more. -3, only scored 16 points, 1 of 7 from three-point land, 5 of 13 from the field. Do you like his comments at the end of the game?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Because I had this debate with one of my fans in the Courtside Buzz comment sections last night. They asked me why I didn't give him the hot garbage treatment, which I usually give star players in a loss, shooting under 33%, who are the obvious reasons for the loss. I will say, Jose, that his 16 points, okay, he shot 39%. That's 5 points under the average. 5 turnovers isn't good. Obviously, 1 of 7 from 3 isn't good. He didn't have as bad as a game as people are really saying, but like you hit the nail on the head about, it's his inability to really attack the rim as much as he should. Get his looks that he usually has. Knock down a few more threes. His aggressiveness altogether on defense just wasn't there either. So his comments were strange. I'm surprised he said that. OKC was guarding him well, but he has to be in more of attack mode. He could get to the free throw line. Just go barrel your way into the paint. Look at Shea. Look how Brunson flops. Yeah. Edwards could take it up strong and get to the line, no doubt about it. So I don't like his comments. He has to be more aggressive. He says he doesn't want to be the face of the league, but people think he should be. The face of the league isn't dropping 16 points in a do-or-die game to go down 3-1. I'll say that.
Yesterday was a very interesting showing, especially after how Minnesota came out in Game 3. I was expecting a little bit more from them, but hey, it is what it is. That game is over. It's done. When it's all said and done in your eyes, tomorrow is Oklahoma City on their way to the NBA Finals when it's all said and done.
No doubt about it. To the NBA Finals and winning the NBA Finals. I'll say it here right now. Put a stamp on it. SportsX Radio. OKC Thunder, your 2025 NBA champions. They're too good, Jose. They're just too good. It's their year.
I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to post it all over social media, and I'm going to tag you, right? So if it doesn't happen, you're going to get a lot of slack. But I agree with you. But I agree with you. I think that when it's all said and done, OKC will get that first chip. A lot of people say, it's not their first because they were in Seattle. Seattle owns the rights to the Sonics. So this is going to be Thunder's first ever franchise NBA championship. I think that it's well-deserved, especially after the year that they've had. I think they covered about 50 games or something like that when it came to the point spread they were talking about earlier, which is just absolutely insane for a team to do that.
Those are big point spreads.
Oh, yeah, and not only that, they had a lot of double-digit wins, yeah.
So that being said, I look at the Pacers, I look at the Knicks, the level of inconsistency between both of those East teams, and then the level of consistency with the Thunder. It's outrageous. It's so lopsided in OKC's favor. Outside of that, of course, terrible blowout, I think Game 2 or 3 when they lost to Minnesota by 40 or whatever it was. Outside of that, they've been, on demon time. They've been dominating.
Mikey, greatly appreciate you joining us here on SportsX Radio. Let everyone know where they can find you all over the airwaves and social media.
Sure, always. I appreciate you having me, Jose. Follow Courtside Buzz on all social media platforms for the best basketball content this playoffs. Blitz Buzz covers NFL football, which is in the off-season. Combat Buzz, a couple big UFC and boxing cards coming up. Follow that on social media, every social media platform. And Strikeout Buzz is coming soon, midway through the MLB season, covering MLB baseball.
Look at this guy. Jose. Not just basketball, all over the place, man. I greatly appreciate you. We'll definitely chop it up soon, my guy. Have a good one, and good luck to your Knicks tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Close game. Let's hope we go back to New York 2-2.
Hey, I'm gonna call it. I think we see overtime tonight. Call me crazy.
All right, we'll see. We'll see.
There we go, Mikey D. Greatly appreciate you. Good stuff there.